Today is December 6th, and it is day 61 since the war between Israel and Hamas and Hezbollah has begun. Let's look on what Hebrew Israeli newspapers are reporting. Giborei Israel, the heroes of Israel, the mighty ones that fell in battle. 7 soldiers fell yesterday in battle. The next headline reads, Betoch Khan Yunis, within Khan Yunis. And Khan Yunis is a major city in the Gaza Strip in the south. Here in the picture, we see IDF soldiers fighting in the Gaza Strip. It says on the way to the south, so on the way to Khan Yunis. Besia lechima charifa, in the peak of the most fierce fighting since October 7th, the IDF is walking into an especially complex challenge, etgar. In Khan Yunis, 4 Hamas battalions, well-equipped battalions, are waiting for the IDF soldiers. The Hamas battalions are surrounded by civilians. And the dilemma in Israel, or the public dilemma, is increasing or is deepening regarding does Israel need to pull out the hostages first, or does the ground maneuver into Khan Yunis needs to continue? The chief of staff says that there is a strong correlation, a strong link between continuing the ground maneuver now and the release of the hostages afterwards. Let's take a look inside. The headline reads, B'merkaz hakoved shel Hamas, in the gravity center of Hamas. Israel's at war. Israel b'milchama. Tzahal, the IDF, is in Khan Yunis. In the photograph, we see Israeli tanks in the Gaza Strip. Be'od ha'lachatz habein-laomi mitadek, while the international pressure is continuing to tighten, the IDF right now is in intensive fighting in Gaza. The activity is in the heart of Khan Yunis, a very complicated place that requires maneuvering within civilian population in front of very equipped and strong battalions of Hamas. The time is running out regarding the return of the hostages, but it is important to emphasize, it writes, without a strong ground pressure on Hamas, it will be hard to accomplish another agreement for a hostage release. And it reads that right now the eyes are also looking ahead at the next destination, which is Rafah. That's where the Hamas has built many undertown tunnels for smuggling weapons and ammunition. So while this is about the ground maneuver and the IDF acting in Gaza, the next article is about the other side. The hostages' families are asking the IDF or asking Israel to not maneuver in there, to not bomb Gaza, because they want more of the hostages released. Yesterday there was an important and very stormy meeting between the hostages' family with the war cabinet, including Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister. 6 hostages who were released spoke yesterday, and we see her quotes of the hard conditions they were in. Yelena says, I was there and I know how much it's hard, and I see it being bombed, and I'm afraid that the hostages will not survive it. And she claims that Israel doesn't know where the hostages is, so the bombings are very dangerous for them. Haiti b'mistor shehufgaz, I was in a hidden place that was bombed. We were smuggled while we were injured, one of the hostages says. So there's a very big dilemma between, do we continue the maneuver in Gaza in order to demolish Hamas, or do we do everything to bring the hostages back? And here I see another quote from Nili Margalit, returned from captivity. She says, we were in very hard conditions, almost impossible conditions, in tunnels under the ground with very little oxygen, not much electricity, sometimes complete full days go by in darkness, with very little food of some rice and pita, maybe once or twice a day. Nobody wants to be where they were. The next article is Hagiborim Shelo Yashuvu. It's about the mighty men that will not return. The 7 that were killed yesterday. Here are the 3 that were in the tank together. Eitan, Yakir, and Tovel. It says they nehergu yachad batank. They were killed together in the tank when an anti-tank missile from Hamas hit them while they're in the Gaza Strip. Down here we see a picture of Matan Damari, 31 years old, from Dimona. It says about him that Matan gave everything he had for the military. And here is Eli Eliyahu, 23 years old, from Beit Nehemiah. And they say about him that the parents say that we're sure that Eli fought until the last moment. Yahel Gazi, 24, from Rakefet. And it says that he was injured during this war, but he got better and he demanded, or he insisted on going back to Gaza, where he fell in battle yesterday. Gil Daniel is 34 years old from Ashdod, and says the world without you is a little less of a better place. And he was serving in reserves. Israel b'milchama, Israel is at war. And this is about the limit or disabled people in Israel. Many of them don't have an accessible safe room. And this article is about that, says that 42% of the people with disabilities in Israel, they do not have an option of going to a accessible safe room, which puts them in a very dangerous place when rockets hit Israel. The next article is an interesting article about finance. It is one of the many ripple effects of this war. It says that there is a big lack in working hands in the food industry. The distress is causing reduction in shifts and closing some of the production lines in the factories. And industrialists say that there are no Palestinians, the foreign workers have left, and the Israelis are evacuated, the ones near those factories. The work is not close to full capacity. And if that's not enough, it says that the finance ministry has cut the 2024 budget to an investment in robotics, and robotics can also help in these cases. The budget in that is cut. It reads, "Chaserim lanu avdim," we're lacking workers, and even headhunting organizations are having a hard time bringing in workers to these factories. And we'll end in the back page. In this story, it reads, Mikey nichnasa lelachatz. Mikey went into pressure. It's a play on words. Mikey is a dog, and she entered a pressure chamber. She's not only just any dog, she's a combat fighter dog that is part of a dog unit that really supports combat soldiers in hard places, such in Gaza. She was injured in Gaza in her head, a very life-threatening injury, and she was asked, or her owners asked, if they could put her in a pressure chamber. The medical center agreed for the first time to put a dog into a pressure chamber, and it says, we just thought, what would we do if this was a soldier? And we did the same thing. The doctors say that since she started this treatment in this pressure chamber, she's doing much better, even though she'll have to go through more therapy afterwards. And the last news is that my son, Natan, is having his 10th birthday today, so happy birthday to Natan. For more stories, not about Natan, go to All Israel News and follow us on social media. You can sign up to our YouTube channel and click the subscribe. Thank you for standing with Israel. This is Rotem Magen for All Israel News.